Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today I have Secretary of Tourism, Jim Hagan, with me, and he is going to give us a brief update on a topic and then also be willing to take questions. Two updates, though. I wanted to talk first about revenue numbers. The details of projected state revenues will be up on covid.sd.gov. You can see the details there. Overall, what they will show you is that we're in pretty good shape as of today. But we're not out of the woods yet. We know that it's been an extremely difficult several months, and while sales tax revenues do look down, they're about 0.3% less than the legislative revised estimate, which is $4.4 million. We also know that we're seeing big impacts in other areas of funding and that there will be long-term effects because of business losses in the state and families that have been dramatically hurt by the downturn in the economy. The tourism tax revenues, for example, which flow directly into the Department of Tourism to fund their operations, are down 3.1% year to date. Compared to last year, those numbers are down approximately 70%. Dramatic impact on tourism tax. Also, our gas tax numbers, with so many people that are not traveling right now, they're down 14.4% year over year in May. Now remember, we didn't shut down our economy. We didn't close businesses. We allowed them to find creative ways to take care of their customers and their employees. But that doesn't mean that every business is going to be able to weather this storm. This has been very difficult for them. They're financially hurt, and it will be a period of time here to see how many will survive and continue to thrive in South Dakota in the future. I do want to thank South Dakotans who have really stepped up and supported a lot of our local businesses. It has meant the world to them and to me and to our state that you're willing to support those local businesses, restaurants, stores, to keep them going and continue to live out their dreams here in South Dakota. Now, one of the reasons that we're seeing potentially not as much impact to our sales tax revenues could be because of the amount of dollars that have flown in through federal stimulus packages and legislation. A lot of it has been distributed to South Dakotans, and we know that businesses and tourism will continue to struggle, but there literally has been tens of millions of dollars that have gone out to individuals and businesses, which may be delaying the impact that we'll see on our bottom line. The one thing we do know for sure is that we will not be having a special session in June. We will not be having that special session in the coming weeks, and we'll continue to reevaluate and speak with legislative leaders to plan for the future. Now, I wanted to give you an update on a second topic, and it has to do with fireworks at Mount Rushmore on July 3rd. This has been a challenging last several months. I know there's a lot of folks who are looking forward to getting back to normal, getting back to sports, church activities, and spending time with their friends and family. Another thing that we're going to go back to and focus on the fun and excitement of is celebrating America's birthday. The fireworks show at Mount Rushmore is going to be exciting. It's been over a year and a half of planning, and I appreciate the hard work of the tourism department, members in my office, also Department of Interior, and the president to make sure that this event can happen and that it is truly going to be spectacular. It would not be possible without everybody's help in this team effort. I have Secretary Hagan here, who's going to announce some specific details when it comes to the celebration that will happen at Mount Rushmore, and with that, I'd like to turn it over to Jim.
All right. Good morning. Thank you, Governor. Jim Hagan, Secretary of Tourism. It is an exciting day for us. We have been, as the governor just noted, we have been working for well over a year to put this fireworks celebration together. It was May 26th of last year where we signed a memorandum of agreement with the federal government to explore bringing back those fireworks. And we have been through a really, really rough patch these past couple of months. Not only the state, this country, but the globe has as well. So we can't think of anything better than to celebrate and have a little fun on July 3rd with a fireworks celebration at Mount Rushmore. So some specifics on the event. First off, you will need a ticket to attend the fireworks show. And again, it's on July 3rd. The tickets will be handled by a lottery system through recreation.gov. That lottery system opens tomorrow morning, and it will close around midnight next Monday. And so you can go to recreation.gov or you can go to travelsouthdakota.com for more specifics on that lottery and how you can enter to hopefully get a ticket. We're planning for a crowd of around 7,500. We're doing everything we can to work diligently to make this a safe and fun event for all attendees. So again, any specific questions, please go to travelsouthdakota.com. We have put together a list of FAQs that will reside on that site. We'll add to that FAQ document as questions may arise that we haven't thought about. But any question that you have can be answered through those FAQs at travelsouthdakota.com. Again, the lottery opens tomorrow morning at recreation.gov, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 Mountain Time. And so we will look forward to everyone getting on that site and hopefully getting a ticket to join us at the celebration. I too want to echo our thanks to the President, to the Department of the Interior, the National Park Service, our local partners at the county and state level. They have been phenomenal. They have put in hundreds, if not thousands of hours into this planning, and we're ready to put on a show and celebrate America's birthday. Governor, I'll turn it back to you. Sure.
There will be no better place to celebrate our independence, and we are excited that President Trump will be joining us for this event. And he and the Department of Interior, the National Park Service, have just been phenomenal in helping to plan it. We're looking forward to bringing the celebration back, not just to South Dakota and Mount Rushmore, but to the entire nation. And the entire nation is truly excited about having it here. So with that, let's open it up to any questions that you may have.
JP from KOI News Radio.
Sure, go ahead, JP.
Thank you very much, Governor. Sounds like a big event at Mount Rushmore, and also with the President planning to attend. Any idea on cost estimates for the state of South Dakota?
We are still compiling the cost estimates, and we'll be able to share those in the coming days.
Thank you.
This is Stephen Groves from Macy.
Sure, go ahead, Stephen.
I'm wondering if there has been any adjustments to the state's modeling for COVID-19 to account for people coming to the state with that, or are there other concerns with coronavirus with the bump in tourism?
No, there hasn't been any reevaluation of modeling, and we don't plan to do any more changes to modeling. As we've seen, the modeling was good for us to prepare a plan for how we would take care of people in our hospital systems, how we would take care of folks that needed ICU care and ventilators. That plan was put into place, and we haven't even come close to reaching the capacity of the amount of people that we could take care of. So it's been encouraging to see infection rates decline. It's been encouraging to see people get better and recover from the virus, and I think we're on a good downward trend, although I do expect that we will see a wave-type infection rate continue on for many months into the future. We will see less people infected, more people become infected, and that's just something that we're going to have to figure out how we get through our day-to-day lives while still protecting the vulnerable population and making sure that we have the resources there if people should need health care when they get sick.
If I could follow up,
Sure.
Do healthcare providers need to prepare for any increase in cases with people coming to the state for this event?
Well, we've seen people coming into the state for several weeks now, and we've continued to see our infection rates decline. So I would say for the data from what we're seeing on the ground is that our health care providers are adequately prepared. Bob, did you have a question? No?
Lee Strubinger, SCPB.
Sure, go ahead, Lee.
Thank you. I was wondering, I wanted to clarify on the 7,500. Is that 7,500 people in the memorial? And what is the plan in terms of social distancing and keeping it safe for 7,500 people in that arena area?
There will be 7,500 people that will need tickets to get into areas that will be ticketed. Obviously, people can be in many other areas of the hills and be able to watch the show and still be able to enjoy it. And we will have a lot of different coverage in the media as well, where people all around the world will have their eyes focused on Mount Rushmore on the evening of July 3rd. We did have a plan originally of social distancing. We do not anticipate doing any social distancing activities during the celebration. What I'm going to ask people to continue to do is if you're sick, stay home. If you're the vulnerable population and you're worried about the virus, then you should stay home. People will have all the information that they need to know exactly what it will look like at Mount Rushmore so they can make a decision for themselves if they'd like to attend or not.
Governor Todd, Apfellow.com News.
Okay, I'll go to Todd, and then I've got a question in the room. Go ahead, Todd.
Thank you, Governor. With the George Floyd protests across the country and even here in South Dakota, as you're well aware, are you concerned that the president's and the vice president's attendance at Mount Rushmore might be a lightning rod for protests at the event or in the Hills area? And if so, what measures can you talk about to try to either prevent or contain such an event?
Well, free speech is a fundamental right, and peaceful protests I have no problem with. The problem that we've seen in recent days across the country is the violence, and that is unacceptable. So I expect the folks that will come to Mount Rushmore will come to celebrate our independence, what makes America special, and they'll be grateful that the president made the trip to come be a part of the program. Yes, Joseph.
Ma'am, good morning. On Monday night during the peaceful protest, the National Guard were, they had their pistol sidearm, but they were not carrying their rifles. Having worked with the Army and military forces, I know, like they say, they feel naked with that. My point is yesterday there was no presence. Today, again, there's a 360-degree security, and they actually have the rifles on them. And I know, being a soldier, your rifle is part of your uniform, but I was just wondering if there was any escalation or anything that made that change.
No, in South Dakota, while they're on active duty, they're allowed to carry their weapons and live ammunition. There is not any details that I would share we have higher security today than we did yesterday. And I probably won't share more specifics as to what significant threats we may see in different parts of the state today.
Jack Cottle with KEVN and KOTA. With the smaller crowd, you say there's not going to be any social distancing requirements there. Is a smaller crowd due to coronavirus? Is any of that due to a presidential visit?
Hey, Jack, Jim Hagan, Secretary of Tourism. So the 7,500 number was actually agreed upon well before COVID came, and that was with the input of the National Park Service, the Department of the Interior, state and local officials. When the fireworks were at Rushmore before, we know at times they described it as a free-for-all, and it was really hard to manage thousands of more people at that event. So that number was agreed upon by all partners as a very manageable number.
Governor Mike Tanner at KWAT in Watertown.
Sure, go ahead, Mike.
Hi, Governor. I know that there have been some questions about the guidance and the clarity on how South Dakota can use the federal money to cover the costs of the coronavirus pandemic. Are you getting any more guidance or clarity from the federal government on how you can use that money?
Well, we're continuing to get new guidance out of Treasury. Some of it has brought us some clarity on how we could utilize funds. Some has made it a little bit more confusing. So we're in constant communication with them, asking for flexibility to meet the needs that we have to take care of folks across the state of South Dakota and also deal with revenue loss. So that's an ongoing project that we have with getting guidance that will really meet the needs that our people of South Dakota need.
And then if I could ask Mr. Hagan a follow-up question, please.
Good morning, Mike.
Hi, Jim. Governor Noem announced her back to normal plan, I guess it's been probably 3 weeks or a month ago now. I'm wondering, to what extent is the tourism industry starting to get back to normal in South Dakota? Will it be an abnormal summer given what's been going on?
As the governor noted, we've actually have seen visitors in recent weeks, and some parts of the hills especially have seen a lot of visitors. So it's not going to be a normal year. We know that, Mike, just given all the data and the consumer sentiment that we're seeing about traveling and hotel occupancy rates, those sort of numbers. But there are a number of silver linings to this picture. One, we see consumer sentiment getting better every single week about traveling. People are more optimistic and feeling better and feeling like states and other tourism attractions are putting the health and safety protocols into place, and that's huge for them. We are seeing an increase in bookings now in late summer and in fall especially, and we see a lot of travelers saying that they're going to travel in the fall. And so it won't be a normal year, but we're going to work as hard as we can to make this as good of a summer as we can, and we're going to lay the groundwork to continue to hit things out of the park in 2021, 2022, and beyond. So not a normal year, but we're going to work our tails off to do as best as we can.
Thank you, Jim.
Hello,
Thank you, Governor.
Governor Noem?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, this is Dominique Smith from News Center 1.
Okay.
So I just a quick question. With all of the, the group of people that's going to be coming out here to Mount Rushmore, have there been, and the president as well, have there been any plans in place to do background checks, anything like that, especially with the kind of climate we have right now going on?
We are coordinating with Secret Service to conduct security, as is the protocol whenever the president travels.
Okay.
Governor Lee Struber again with this.
Sure, go ahead, Lee.
I had two questions. I want to make sure I understand maybe how you're reading some of the sales tax collection numbers.
Okay.
So kind of that initial federal money coming in, like the $1,200 to individuals and $500 for children. I guess, are you kind of seeing that as sort of a helping the state? And then I guess maybe what are you and your team sort of expecting in the long run? Is it not as rosy of a picture? Maybe kind of your thoughts on some of those collection numbers.
Well, when the legislature met, they adopted estimated revenue numbers, which we felt were a little bit more conservative and lower than what they had proposed at the beginning of session. We felt that was a good decision at the time. Then we had COVID-19 come up, and we've been prepared for downward trends in sales tax ever since then. We see about a $4.4 million decrease so far. And we've been doing evaluations on that, watching spending. I think it's attributable to several different things. First of all, we do know our businesses were impacted, and that's why we see a downward trend from what we estimated we would bring in. Number two, people did receive federal stimulus dollars, so they went out and they spent some money even while the virus was in the state and people were trying to stay home. The third thing, would potentially be we have a very diversified sales tax. There's a lot of things in the state that have a 4% sales tax on them, and because that's diversified, that may have protected us somewhat from the downward trend. People were still shopping for things and needed things that there is sales tax on, and that has made sure that we didn't see the huge decline that maybe other states have seen. But I do want to give you guys a little bit more information that we do expect that this doesn't mean that we're out of the woods. We've got a long road ahead of us. In fact, the biggest impact from this virus may not be seen for 6 months, for a year, because our businesses were significantly hurt. They got some federal dollars that are helping them patch through the next few months, but they may have been hurt too hard financially to survive. And if we lose businesses, that obviously impacts our economy. It eliminates jobs that people are depending on to put food on the table, and those have long-lasting effects. So that's why we can't make decisions just based on what the numbers are that were reported last month. We have to prepare long-term to keep our economy and our families as stable as possible.
Governor Patrick Callahan, South Dakota Bride.
I got a question in the room. I'm going to go to Patrick, and then I'll come to the phone.
Presidential visits come with a substantial cost to local officials, particularly law enforcement. I know Rapid City PD had some overtime cuts, eliminations. Fire chief resigned, citing concerns about budgets and all that. Is there something in the works there funding-wise that will be assisted? How will those costs be covered, I guess?
Yeah, we are looking at all mechanisms to cover those costs, and we've got a great partnership ongoing, and we'll be able to make sure that we're facilitating a very safe event that is well funded, that we will be able to make sure is responsible as well. Was there a question on the phone?
Yeah, I wanted to ask another quick question, if that was okay.
Sure.
I was wondering if you had met with the speakers or the organizers of the peaceful protest in Sioux Falls last Sunday.
No, I have not met with them.
Okay. Is that plan in the works? I know you talked about looking for solutions to policing policies and stuff like that. So I just didn't know if that was in the works.
No, in fact, I don't think they've reached out to me or expressed that they have any solutions they want to pursue. But I have clearly telegraphed to the state and the people here that if you do have solutions, if you want to solve problems, that I am a governor that wants to do that. That's why I get up every day, is to address real issues. And this issue has been going on in our country for decades. It's a big one. So I would appreciate people not just talking about the problem, but being willing to help me solve it.
JP from KORN News Radio.
Go ahead, JP.
Thank you. Secretary Hagan, could you please give us an idea of how you adjusted your target markets for this tourism season since the COVID-19 pandemic?
Very good. Good morning, JP. Great question. So what we've done is we have, consumers are saying that they want a road trip this year. They're not interested in longer travel. So we have adjusted our market to markets within 500 miles of South Dakota. So really, we had Chicago and Dallas were two, Chicago, a fairly new market, Dallas, a brand new market that we were targeting. This spring and this summer, we have decided to pull out of those markets and really focus on Minneapolis, St. Paul, Denver, Omaha, those drive markets within about 500, 600 miles of South Dakota. So the road trip, consumer sentiment survey after survey says the road trip is what it's all about when people start traveling again, and even those who are traveling now. And we are the perfect destination for the road trip. We're the ultimate American road trip with all these great roadside attractions, national parks, state parks. So that message pivoted from one of stay home and stay safe to one that is now actively courting visitors to come to the state. And our message to them is that we're ready for you. We're going to be safe for you when it's right for you to travel. Great places are waiting for you when the time is right for you.
Thank you.
Governor, this is Stephen Groves from the AP.
Sure, go ahead, Stephen.
I was wondering if you could give us an update on the coronavirus funding, if that money has been allotted or spent yet. And then I know there was also, you were looking at allotting that for some March salaries for state government employees. If you've gotten clarity on that from the federal government, if that will be allowed, and how that kind of affects the budget picture going forward.
Well, we are continuing to evaluate dollars and how they can be spent. I will say that there was a lot of dollars that flowed to the state from the federal government through different legislative packages. Some of that went directly to different entities and not to the state of South Dakota. Some was directly allocated to tribes. Some was directly allocated to K-12, to higher education. Those dollars may or may not have been spent. What we're doing in the state with what the dollars have been brought to us is making sure we have clear guidance before we start handing out those dollars. So a lot of these dollars can be used, and it's very clear for COVID-19 response. The dollars that we aren't clear on how they should be distributed, we're holding on until we're positive where that money should go and that it is the appropriate use.
And that's that $1.25 billion, is that correct?
Well, that's what was brought to the state of South Dakota, but there was dollars beyond that that maybe went directly to other entities in the state. Go ahead, Bob.
Governor Bob Mercer with KELOLAND News, and either one of you can take this question, but just some details on how the lottery will work for Mount Rushmore. Can people go there today and get in line, or Do they need to wait till a time? If you just quickly walk through that for me.
Great. Thank you, Bob. So I'll reiterate, you must have a ticket, one, to attend the fireworks celebration. The lottery will open tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 Central, 8 Mountain. You can go to recreation.gov, and they'll have a whole platform set up there to which you enter the lottery. The lottery closes then next Monday at about midnight Eastern Time. And those ticket holder or those who are awarded tickets will be notified by June 12th via email from recreation.gov. And with that email, if you're successful in obtaining a ticket, will be all sorts of information available to those ticket holders about how the event will occur, what they can bring with them, what they can't bring, more information on security checkpoints, et cetera. So the lottery opens tomorrow morning, recreation.gov. It'll close Monday evening at about midnight, and winners will be notified by June 12th.
And just to clarify, you said next Monday. Is that this coming Monday or the following Monday?
Yes, and people should be aware that it could close much sooner than that. We expect high demand for these tickets, so if you are available tomorrow morning, get online, put in your application for those tickets because they could be gone quite quickly. The other clarification I would give you, Bob, is just that everything is done online and it is being administered by the National Park Service. We will certainly answer your questions if you have questions at the governor's office or the Department of Tourism, but it is being administered by the National Park Service, and we felt that was the fairest way to make sure that every single South Dakotan had an opportunity to attend. And it is open to people outside of South Dakota as well. So that's one thing people should know, that people across the country will be getting online looking to access a ticket for this event. So the sooner that you get online when it opens, which would be 10 a.m. Eastern Time, I would think the better to secure your ticket. And I believe there's a limit. There will be a limit on how many tickets each individual could secure as well. Okay, go ahead. There was a question on the phone.
Yeah, Jack Cottle with KEVN and KOTA. Can you clarify again? Is this a lottery that will be drawn from all the people who enter during that period, or is it the people who are in first get the tickets?
Good morning, Jack. Jim Hagan. Yes, correct. So it's a lottery that opens tomorrow, and anybody can enter that lottery at 10 a.m. Eastern Time at recreation.gov. Like I said, it closes on Monday at about midnight, this coming Monday. But anybody can get onto that platform. Anybody can apply. And they've got this whole randomized system set up, obviously, with the lottery, and the lucky winners will be notified by June 12th.
Forgive me, sir, you didn't quite clarify as to how much, like, he, I think, asked, and I'm curious now too, like, is it a complete randomized, or is it going to be like,
I'll speak to
as
that
the
because I'm the
numbers
one who
come in,
misspoke.
you know, you've got this many applications, these many people are cleared, we're done, or is it like, we're gonna take applications till Monday and then, you know, like spin a wheel and I realize it won't be spin a wheel because we have electronics and stuff, but.
No, Jim actually clarified that it will be apply online, it'll close on Monday, and then they'll draw out of the total number of applications. So if 60,000 people could apply, then they will choose out of that the 7,500 tickets. So keep applying. You know, if you can't get on right away on Monday, or before Monday, you'll be able to still be in the lottery drawing. Jim clarified that very well.
Will people all be seated in the amphitheater area?
Jim Hagan, Secretary of Tourism. Actually, we'll have two zones. So Zone 1 will be the amphitheater. There'll be a Zone 2, which is just right across the highway, Highway 244. It's a gravel parking lot that is part of the memorial as well. So two zones. So you'll see in the amphitheater and those in Zone 2. For those who don't have a direct view of the amphitheater, we are working now to provide jumbo screens and audio as well, so they can actually see the program. Obviously, they'll have a great shot of the fireworks, but we want them to also see the program that will be going on as well.
We can take one more question.
Any further questions? Okay. Thanks so much. Have a great day.